Actors, we've all got issues, so let's talk about them. I'm Juan Ayala, and welcome to Actors with Issues. Each week, we bring you interviews with actors from across TV, film, and Broadway, taking many deep dives into their careers and getting into the successes, the struggles, and of course, the issues that they face as actors. That's enough about us. Let's dive into the episode. Today's guest is a daytime Emmy-nominated actor you've seen in Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, the HBO series Westworld, Venice series, and the upcoming Netflix rom-com That's Amor. It's Gregory Zarian. Gregory, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So before we dive into the film and everything, we always start with a quick rapid-fire game called Getting to Know You. So we just throw some questions your way, and we always start with an easy one: coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee
Film or television?
with a shot of espresso. Film,
Drama or comedy?
drama,
Hero or villain?
hero,
Stage acting or screen acting?
screen.
Which actors had the biggest influence on you?
Lindsay Wagner. She was my first crush.
Oh, really?
The Bionic Woman was my first crush. Lindsay Wagner.
What is the last show that you binge watched?
From the beginning to current, The Walking Dead.
Really? It's a lot you had to watch.
Oh my! Have you seen it?
I haven't watched it. I think I'm like a season or two behind. It's a lot.
But what the like seriously? What the hell? That is my dream. I seriously, yeah. I hope on the new iteration, I can just like give me like a great 3-4 episode story arc,
Mhm.
and then I want to become somebody's lunch. Seriously, how fun would that be?
If you could have lunch with any actor, dead or alive, who would it be?
Marilyn Monroe.
Good choice.
Yeah, she just popped into my head. Marilyn.
What was your first non-acting job?
Oh, I worked at my dad's. My dad had a retail shop called the Anthony's Home and Auto Center, and we would be paid. My twin and I would be paid. We would make like $11 a day. It was an auto body, a car repair shop, and then you would walk into the home shop and buy TVs, jewelry, and stuff. So while you're waiting to get your car repaired, you're also spending more money inside. And so we would take Windex and clean toasters and TV screens and refrigerators, and it was cool. Like basically out of the womb, my dad had us doing chores, and then chores turned into working. And his words were, "No one gave it to me, so no one's giving it to you." And I love that. I do.
Yeah. What movie never fails to make you laugh?
Bridesmaids.
And what movie never fails to make you cry?
Somewhere in Time. Christopher
And
Reeve and Jane Seymour.
yeah. And lastly, describe your most memorable audition in 3 words. And memorable can mean good or bad. So, up to you.
In 3 words.
Mhm.
Emotional, intense, exciting.
So, with our show, we've been doing this for just over 2 years now, and with all these conversations, no two artist journeys are alike. So, when did you first become involved in the arts, and then what was it about acting that made you decide that you wanted to pursue this on a career level?
Happy 100th episode, by the way,
Thank
which
you.
is awesome. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, a lot of people say that they're afraid to be on camera. When I was 15, there was a show called American Bandstand, and I don't know if you're familiar with that. A friend of mine took me out of high school, invited me from high school, and I danced on a TV show for 5 years. So I was never afraid of being on camera. I was working in a department store, and somebody said, "Hey, do you want to be on a soap opera?" I said, "Sure." And I just wasn't ready for what that was. And for me to be a storyteller, to be an actor, to be in the throes of this business when I'd never change it, because there wasn't social media. There wasn't, YouTube and all these streaming services where you can just pop onto something and see something. You had to go to a class. You had to walk the streets to your, well, not walk the streets. You had to. It was more tangible, more on the streets in person. And I lived in Europe, and I've lived all over this country to hone my craft. This is my job, and storytelling is part of my DNA. So it's been a very, very long journey, and I still get to tell stories. And from every look to every mannerism to the way I sit, the way I stand, the way I deliver lines, every character is different. Every story is different, and every character I put on creates part of who I am.
And over the years, of course, there's so much that you've learned throughout your career, I'm sure. So looking back, is there anything that comes to mind as something you know now that you wish you'd learned earlier on?
That's a great question. Go to class.
Hmm.
Study. I when I was put on the soap opera, it wasn't that it wasn't important to me, and it wasn't that I wasn't doing my best. Uh, I would have done more of that. I would have, I studied with a friend of mine who was on a soap opera, and she was very, very successful. She was on the TV series Dynasty at the time, and we were
Hmm.
friends. And we would rehearse on my auditions, and it wasn't that I wasn't rehearsing, but when you're younger and you're thrown on the number one daytime soap opera, and you are with all these famous people, and you are at events in soap opera weekly, and this whirlwind of life, and then all of a sudden it's taken away. You're like, oh, I could have. So it's study, it's do your homework. It's, even now I read books out loud just to practice the cadence, to practice the words, to pay attention to pauses. And what I also do is I really work on listening, because the majority of what we as actors do is listen. And there's
Hmm.
something really beautiful as an actor if you were delivering lines to me and said, because you see a lot of actors just waiting to tell their line, to share their line. There's something beautiful about seeing someone holding a pause in the silence and the turmoil of what they are hearing, to then be with that emotion and then share their line.
I feel like it's sort of like the classic, but still very true advice. Acting is reacting, and you can't react if you're not listening.
There was, I saw this phenomenal play this 2 weekends ago in New York City. A friend of mine was in a remake of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and he was phenomenal, the multi-daytime Emmy winner. And there was this actress named Allison Page, and she plays Big Mama. And there is this moment in this phenomenal scene, and she is sitting, and for anybody that doesn't, I don't want to give anything away, but there is such weight on her in her silence that as an audience member, I'm like waiting. She's not saying a word, and you're like, and then there was somebody else that the silence wasn't like, did she not say, did she miss a word? You know what I'm saying? And she did a phenomenal job, but there's this, I as a storyteller, I need to bring you in to wait on that hanging, that's why, what it's exciting for me. And I tell people now all the time is to look at the extras, look at the background performers.
Hmm.
I mean, I want to say The Walking Dead, everybody's performing for dead, but in the, like in The Crown, if you watch every background performer in The Crown, they are in it and they are riveting because they are part of the storytelling.
Hmm.
So it's stuff like that that I tap into. Like, what are you thinking? What's happening if somebody pulls me out? What are they not doing? Oh, they're not in it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And my friends and my family hate me for that, because my friend's brother will be like, okay, look at the guy over there. One, there's no coffee in his coffee cup. It's an empty cup, and I hate that continuity. And two, you can see that he's checked out.
Yeah.
It's those things that I feel make me a stronger actor.
I am totally that guy while watching TV because I'm an actor as well, and I did background work for such a long time, and my boyfriend hates it because I'll be like, notice how like this extra is over this person's shoulder, and then on the turnaround they're behind the other person. They just teleported. Or the cup thing as well. That drives me nuts where they're just like flailing a cup. I'm like, and then they drink and
Well, here's the thing. You can tell in my cup, there's something in this. Thank
right.
you. It's one of my all-time favorite shows, Grey's Anatomy. Meredith, and here's the thing that I just say to, and I also do a lot of modeling and I do a lot of lifestyle stuff. If I'm holding a cup, I'll say, hold on, and I will put maybe Diet Coke or water or something, because you can tell the buoyancy. You know, if I put this down, you hear it. If it's empty, it's a whole different reverb. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just different. And I think a cup of coffee, there's something warm in it. It's you're experiencing it. And I, as an actor, need to have you experience all of it. And so you and I should never watch TV together, because we would put it on pause and be like, did you see that? His hair changed. Oh, his buttons moved. Oh, there's no water in that cup. Yeah, we'd be in trouble by a lot of people.
Yeah, it usually takes me about 2 hours to watch a 90-minute movie because I'm pausing and talking about stuff so much. Like, wait, go back. Did you notice that? Yeah, like I said, my boyfriend hates it, but he puts up with it.
But, you know, love is love.
Right. So perfect segue into That's Amor. So in this upcoming Netflix film, you play David, who is in this couple's cooking class with his husband Todd, and where we also see our main characters, Sophia and Matias. So what was your experience working on such a feel-good movie and that explores so many facets of love in such a lighthearted way, which I feel like these lighthearted projects is what we need right now, especially.
We do. We all, first of all, I love the way you said that's Amor. I'm going to have to call you every day and be like, hear that little bit of Latin flair. The movie stars Riley Dandy, Sophia, and Isaac Rossi as Matthias. It was pretty phenomenal. I was brought onto the project by one of my dearest friends, Paul Whitten, who plays David. He's good friends with one of the producers, Christina Moore. Her husband, John Ducey, wrote the film. He called Paul, said, hey, would you be part of this? I said, sure. They looked at my reel. They did a little bit of research on me. And what sold them on us was that we are such good friends. And they wanted a couple that had an connected relationship. Paul and I are super connected. We got very connected. Not that we weren't close, but we became very close during COVID. He would come sit outside my backyard and we would save the world. We weren't on phones. We weren't watching TV. We talked for hours. And when he asked me about the film, I said, I'm a sap. So anything rom-com, anything rooting for love, absolutely. And, what's great is, even going back to what I was saying earlier, is before we started filming, I said, let's go on a walk. So we took a walk and I bought us magic bracelets, and I wanted us to make sure that our rings were similar. And I asked him very personal questions. And how do you hold hands? How do you interlock arms? Are you boxers or briefs? Are there things that only I, as your husband, could possibly know? And it wasn't that we didn't have the connection. We had that much more of a connection. And, I'm grateful this production company, PSX Entertainment, it's all feel-good, loving stuff. It's Ali Ashbar, the director, Sean Piccinino. He is an actor's actor. And what was great is being part of this cooking class. And, Riley, the woman that plays her mom, Nancy Linehan, is on everything. It's a bunch of actors that love to tell stories. And when they were filming, they let us riff. They let us ad lib. And, we as actors love a good ad lib. I mean, some do, some don't, but I do. Sean captured those really amazing moments of Paul and myself, of Riley and Nancy. And, Daniel Moore plays the chef, the uncle to Isaac's character, Matthias. And it was just this group of actors that were so much in the mix together that we were allowed to tell this beautiful story. And who doesn't want to fall in love? And what was great about us is we're David and Todd, and we happen to be gay. It wasn't this, oh my God, there's a gay couple. It's like, we're David and Todd and we happen to be gay. And I think if that's the narrative of storytelling, fantastic.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? There was no stereotype behind it. We're married and we're a couple and we're in a cooking class, period. And
Yeah.
that's stuff that I love telling, that it's not a conversation anymore. You have these two, these two, these two, these two, these two. Oh, great. Let's tell a story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like that is so important in, especially in queer storytelling, and also for any communities of color, that we should be allowed to just exist in the story and not have to, there is so much trauma storytelling in a lot of these different projects, and while those are very important to tell, not everyone's experience is so traumatic and damaging and things like that. For a lot of folks, that is very much a reality. But I feel like we also need to be included in these lighthearted stories, and just be allowed to exist in the story without anything else.
But also without that label. You know,
Exactly.
we all have trauma. Everyone has trauma. We've all gone through a pandemic.
Mm.
All of us that's still here, we've survived. We all have mental things we're dealing with. We all have ups and downs and all of it. And hopefully we get to a place where we tell stories and it's not okay, there's a gay couple. Okay, there's a transgender woman. Okay, there's a black man. What about just telling a story and look at this colorful cast of characters?
Mm.
You know, that's why I'm so grateful to be part of this movie. We are a colorful cast of characters. We all rooted for each other, and on the day that Paul and I wrapped, we're like I was very sad because it was this lovely experience with phenomenal people that are telling a really lovely story. And Isaac plays Matthias. He's from Spain. Riley plays Sophia. She's from San Francisco. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So they also got to cross culture, and cooking is love. And here's this white girl coming into a Spanish class with a bunch of colorful characters, learning how to cook and experience. And it was just seriously just a cross of a lot of really wonderful flavors, so to speak.
Mm.
Okay, that was good. I like that. A lot of wonderful flavors. Yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm actually going to give myself, I really like it.
There's an Instagram caption right there.
Can we go back and record it? I mean, and copy it? That'd be fun.
So something that I wanted to touch on, given the name of our show is Actors with Issues, and we always like to touch on some of the different obstacles and things that actors deal with. You've been very open about your sobriety, which you said just celebrated 17 years, I'm told. So
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, in Hollywood, I feel that there is quite a bit of pressure to go to parties and mingle and that sort of lifestyle, and that can be damaging for lots of folks. So, for any listeners who may be struggling with substance use or sobriety, what advice do you have for them?
Uh, Thank you for addressing that. Being sober is the best ticket in town for anybody that is suffering. You are not alone. Reach out to me, reach out to any 12-step recovery program that feels good to you. You have to admit that you're powerless
Mm.
over an addiction, over food, alcohol, sex, drugs, shopping, gambling, whatever it is, over people. One thing that I always say when people ask me about recovery is the strongest tools you have are your feet. Get up and walk away. We inherently, I want to believe that everyone knows yes and no. If you don't, surround yourself with a group of friends that can support you in really horrible choices or strong choices or whatever choices. I have a bunch of people that if I went to a party and I ordered a drink, they'd say, no, he's not. So you need to have a group of people that are accountable with you. I am not sober alone. I am sober with and I say my tribe, my group, my core, and we walk hand in hand. And what's so beautiful about recovery is if somebody reaches out today through me, through your podcast, they are now grabbing my hand, I am grabbing theirs, and we are doing this together. Just realize you're not alone and admit that you are afraid. And Same thing with bullying. I'm a huge anti-bullying advocate for an organization called Free Love. And, you know, as much as we love being on the phone and as much as we love computers and the internet, it's phenomenal. You know, the Trevor Project has somebody online 24/7 for Trevor Chat, Trevor Live. Same thing with Free to Love. But it's also aggressive, abusive, and people torment each other online. I have nephews that get tormented. What do I say? Turn off your phone, block them, report them, talk to your parents, talk to me, close your laptop, you know, don't engage. So as much as there's great, there's so much that we can also learn from and do differently. So for anyone that is struggling, reach out to somebody and say, I need help. If you're not sure about a party, there will be other parties. If you are going to a work event, bring somebody with you that can be your chaperone, your partner, your support. We go through this together. We should never go through it alone.
Thank you so much for sharing
Hey,
that. Yeah,
I have a question for you.
sure.
Since you are 100 podcasts in, and it is about acting, and it is about, as you were even saying, issues, what is the best advice you've heard from someone?
I think because we started the show May 2020 at the height of the pandemic, there's been a lot of talk about self-care and how so many of the guests early on realized how horrible they were at self-care, that when they finally were forced to stay home and not work, they were like, "Oh, let me like sit down and watch TV. Let me do a face mask. Let me do some virtual therapy. Let me do, so I think that just generally just like be kind to yourself. That's such a huge thing, especially, actors, especially I feel like younger actors these days are boxed in a lot.
Sure.
Whether it's not even always casting. People say it's casting, it's not. It's more the higher ups above that. It's the studio or the network execs who have specific visions in mind and things like that. So they feel that they have to box themselves in even more. But other folks do that already. We shouldn't
Sure.
be a culprit as well.
Wow, that's a great note.
Yeah.
So I want to just throw one thing. You said self-tape.
Yeah.
So here's one thing that was given to me about self-tapes is always start with something and end with something. You know, a lot of self-tapes start with the person saying ready in action and the words immediately come. Take 1 or 2 or 3 breaths before and always start with something. And I'm really doing this now as I'm walking into it. And I'm not starting so much on center. I'm kind of walking from out to in, because then it catches your attention. And then when I'm done, it's not this immediate cut and wrap. It's this, let it breathe in the beginning, let it breathe at the end, and create your magic throughout all of it. And then also a self-tape friend told me that basically now, since it's our self-tape, make it a screen test. Why not?
Right.
No one's there to tell you don't use the cup. I had to do something with a gun. I had a gun. I had to play an Armenian vampire slayer. So it was fun. Why not? What are you going to do? Tell me put down the gun? Well, you're not here. So you know what I'm saying? And it also becomes a lot more fun.
So, thank you so much for opening up and for chatting with us. Before we go, we do a non-rapid fire game called Now That We Know You, since we've gotten a chat for a bit. So fill in the blank. If I weren't working in the arts, I'd be?
But what popped into my mind was a stripper. I believe that because you and I are in the arts, we're on the stripper pole every day. I seriously, we're doing
like
our. We are. I feel like I would be. I'd be a motivational speaker. I would if I was in the arts. I'd want to know what someone's story is, and see people get past what's their. Because a story is an experience that happened. It's not necessarily what is true. I believe that life is what happened, and then the suffering and the pain comes from what we tell it. So I'd be a motivational speaker, and especially for men, a lot of men hang on to emotions and they don't share and they don't reveal. And it's not so much the first thought, it's the fourth, fifth, sixth thought, or the emotion that's behind the stuff that we are suffering from and in.
What role have you had the most fun playing?
It was on a series in Berlin, Germany. Not that every role has not been fun. Like I played Shaggy's dad in a show and in this movie and some other great stuff. I was in Berlin, Germany, working on the series Counterpart, and I played two characters, and I got to do it with my twin brother Lawrence. So I played Volker, Alpha and Prime, and it was one of the best jobs I've ever had, because I was sent to Germany for a summer to tell an amazing story. And when you get to work with J.K. Simmons and Nazanin Boniadi and and Sam Rukin and all these amazing people, and play two characters, it's acting at its finest.
What is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Don't think, just do.
And what's the worst advice you've ever gotten?
Come home. I was living in Italy, and Paris, Italy, and my mom said, "Come home," and I was a day away from getting a really big print campaign that could have possibly changed my trajectory. I'm grateful for where I am and how it played out. Had I stayed, it possibly could have looked differently in the modeling world for me. Not that I don't have a great modeling career, and I'm not grateful for all of it. It was just, no, I'm not ready to come home. And I was also a kid, so.
Right. And lastly, in 10 words or less, what advice would you give to a young actor?
Listen, trust your gut, say thank you and please.
Love that. Well, Gregory, again, thank you so much for joining us on the show. If anyone wants to give you a follow on Instagram or on anywhere on socials, where can they find you?
At Gregory Zarian, on Twitter, on Instagram. TikTok scares me, so I don't know about that yet, and on Facebook. And I just want to say too, that's Amor, August 25th on Netflix. Super fun.
All right, folks, as always, you can follow us on Instagram at Actors with Issues. Give me a follow at Juan Yala Official, and be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, and check out our YouTube channel. We have new episodes every Monday and bonus episodes on Thursdays. And you heard the man, he said, that's Amor, available to stream on Netflix August 25th. I'm Juan Yala. This is Actors with Issues, and we'll see you next week.